PWBA.com is the exclusive live streaming home of the PWBA Tour. We ask that you do not live stream from your personal devices. All right, athletes, your arrows are coming up. You'll have a full set of pins. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a great send-off for round 2 of the QubicaAMF PWBA Players Championship. Good luck, ladies.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Bowl TV's live coverage of the 2019 QubicaAMF PWBA Players Championship from Buffalo Lanes North in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am Daniel Farish alongside, back in the booth, for those of you asking, Emil Williams Jr. And we are set with 5 channels worth of action here on Bowl TV for the second round of qualifying, the second round of 6. Already 6 games in the books from this morning. And the top 5 saw quite a shakeup in the final game. Valerie Berscier had led the way all the way through the first 5 games. She shoots 178 the final game. That drops her from the lead down to 5th. And Birgit Poplar shoots 268 the last game to jump to plus 205, takes over the lead. Hall of Famer Liz Johnson is in second place at plus 203. Sherry Tan very quietly gets to plus 194. Liz Culkin, plus 182. Valerie in 5th at plus 181. Brianna Cote, Shannon Pluhowski, Missy Parkin, Clara Guerrero, and Diana Zavyalova round out the top 10. Dasha Kovalova in 11th at plus 125. Nicole Trudell, plus 104. Daria Pajak in 13th at plus 102. Elise Bolton, solid stretch in the middle. Games 3, 4, and 5, 250, 220, 250. She gets to plus 101 on the day in 14th. 15th place, Rocio Restrepo at plus 90. And outside the top 15, but inside the top 18, which is the cut that will be made after tomorrow morning with 12 games to go. Stephanie Johnson at plus 81 in 16th position. Danielle McEwen in 17th at plus 70. And Shannon O'Keefe in 18th at plus 67. From Shannon at plus 67, there are 6 players within 12 pins of her that are outside the cut line. Jody Wessner, Carrie Smith, Kelly Kulik, and then Shayna Ung and Sydney Brummett, as well as Jen Higgins at plus 55. So those 6 players, all within 12 pins of Shannon, but again, 12 games to go. So a lot of ground can be made up, and some players, a lot of ground can be lost. But lots of time left, only a third of the way through qualifying. As Emil noted this morning in this week's On the Road podcast, he sat down with Diana Zavyalova and Valerie Berscier, who coming into this morning were the two players that were just inside the cut for Richmond. Of course, DZ inside the cut and Valerie outside the cut. Valerie was able to set aside any pressure, any drama, any talk related to the points and the tour finals coming up in a couple of weeks in Richmond. And she put it all aside and was able to put together, as we mentioned, a very solid block, led all the way through 5 games until the final game. And I got a chance to speak with her just before we started this afternoon block about what she was able to do over the course of this morning's block.
I just focused on the process. I wrote down my main goal was to have fun and just enjoy the tournament. So just increase my focus a little bit. And then towards the end, my ball reaction got a little weird. And also, like, the approaches, one shot I would stick, one shot I would slide, so that I didn't end as well as I wanted to. But I learned a lot. So despite shooting, 200 over for the first few, I still learned that there were things that I can do next block if I see it sooner, make quicker adjustments.
Valerie off right here in front of us on 25 and 26. Early double in the game, surrounded by 3 spares, so a good start for her. Take a look on our featured pairs who we have. Christine Gill, Maria Jose Rodriguez, Brianna Cote and Sydney Brummett on 23 and 24. On 25 and 26, Jody Westner, Dasha Kovalova, the aforementioned Valerie Berscier, and Jen Higgins. See a lot of speculation in the chat about Player of the Year. I know we've also covered the Rookie of the Year race. A lot of things can happen over the course of the next, not just 3 days, 4 days, but also in Richmond. What we know for sure, however, is that after the first block, with where they are currently in the standings, Shannon holds a 13,140 point lead over Danielle. So one of the 2 things Danielle needed to happen this week for her to make up some ground on Shannon has transpired, and that was just this morning. Shannon struggling a little bit in 18th. Danielle, however, unable to take advantage of some of the strikes that are out there to be had, as she is only in 17th position. So just a 300-point difference between those 2 positions. So not much ground made up at all as far as the Rookie of the Year. Valerie came in with a pretty substantial lead over Julia Bond. And obviously, we talked a lot about her already this broadcast. Did nothing but help herself this morning, as she now holds an 18, just north of 18,000 point lead over Julia for that Rookie of the Year race. Aaron, to your question in the chat, I haven't done the exact math, sat down, put pen to paper, or I guess in our case, put numbers into an Excel spreadsheet for that outcome. Mathematically, I suppose it could. Yes, Dasha, if she were to win today, or win this week, she could. And then, of course, depending on what would happen in Richmond. But that would require some very, very poor performances on the part of both Danielle and Shannon. Two things that I don't expect to see. So the help that Dasha would need to win Player of the Year, while it is mathematically possible, I would not say it is realistically possible. But that's why we play the game. You are saying there's a chance. I'm saying I would not bet the house on it. Talking about the points, however, we do know that 7 players are locked in for sure to Richmond. Shannon O'Keefe, Danielle McEwen, Dasha Kovalova, Jordan Richard, Josie Barnes, Shayna Ung, and Sandra Anderson. The remaining 9 players that are in right now are in based on their points. And after this morning, where they sit in the standings right now, Liz Johnson, Missy Parkin, Liz Culkin, Clara Guerrero, Maria Jose Rodriguez, Birgit Poplar, Brianna Cote, Stephanie Johnson, and Tanya Rumapir are the 9 players that would make it in based on points. Just outside that top 16, Zavyalova, Berscier, Pluhowski, Kelly Kulik, Sherry Tan, and Verity Crawley. Birgit Poplar took over the lead with a 268 the final game this morning. I wouldn't say she had an up and down day because she is our leader, but 2 games that were south of 220 and 2 games that were north of 250 helped her get there. By comparison, Sherry Tan, who's only 11 pins out, and a very consistent day, 36, 24, 26, 24, 25 before a big 259 the final game. Liz Johnson in second, similar, 48, 43, 33, 22, 24, 33. Birgit leading just north of a 234 average at her plus 205 total. That 18th place cut, Shannon O'Keefe at plus 67, is a 211.17 average. A very nice conversion by Kelly Kulik, 2 lanes down, the 3-4-6-7. Kelly this game with 6 strikes and 3 splits. One of those splits converted at 3-4-6-7. And then our cash line coming into game 1 this afternoon was Christine Gill at -4, a 199.33 average. Great shot there by Brianna Cote. Doubled in the 8th and 9th, chance to get into the 230s. Bree, one of those players that was just on the inside of the points cut. She was one position to the good coming into this tournament. Needs to have a pretty solid outing to secure her spot in there. Pretty good morning block. Moved herself up one more spot in the points, up to basically 14th in the point standings. Sydney Brummett, nice shot, crumbles in the 4-pin, a little straighter off her hand. Dare I say, a little bit right to left maybe, but definitely don't see as many players as far right early on this afternoon as we saw this morning. I think they learned that that hook they saw outside of 5 was some fool's gold. It looks good until it doesn't, and the minute that it doesn't look good, it gets bad in a hurry. It's not a slow transition. When you start out in an area of the lane like that on a pattern like this, you're not making 2-and-1s or 3-and-2s. You're making zone moves to get away from that when it goes away. Solid double right there by Sid the Kid. Able to overcome something I've seen out on tour just in my 4th event out here is that, and this is something a lot of bowlers do, they go into the 10th on a double and they tell themselves that they pressure to get that first one because they don't want to lose that 21 plus pins on count if you're on a double going into the 10th. And too many players will pressure themselves and really try and make that 10th frame as just a great a shot as possible instead of throwing the same shots they've thrown in the previous frames to put themselves in that position. And too many times in the last 3 weeks I've seen players enter the 10th on a double and split. Or as Sydney did here in the fill ball, just go heavy on the head pin and leave more than one pin up there on the pin deck. But Sid able to push past that double, gets into 209. So good finish after a rough start. Opens in the 2nd and 8th, or 2nd and 6th, excuse me. Christine Gill mentioned her name. She was the last person inside the cash line. Clean 212 this game. And now Brianna Cote will have her opportunity to get the first one in the 10th and improve her position in the standings, currently sitting in 6th place. Maria did not like that shot off her hand, and for good measure, heavy on the head pin, leaves the 3-6, gets the 10 out, however. Makes it less choppable, but still choppable. Let's see what Bree has to offer here in the 10th on a double. Right up 8, 9, 10. Ball motion looks good, as it should. Bree throwing a symmetric pearl that just runs over the 8-pin. Not only am I seeing less players tempted this afternoon to play that 3-4-5 area, I'm also seeing less ball surface in their hands. Bowling balls that from back here appear to be smoother. That ball that Bree's throwing Looks like it's got some oil. You may say it looks shiny. I'd say it's got some oil shine on it, but still a very smooth surface on that ball. Ball's a little bit right. Good shot still. One of the pros of throwing a symmetric ball, and what she's doing is you can afford to miss on a pattern like this. You can afford to miss a little right because that symmetric ball, when it reads the friction on this very low volume pattern on these higher friction lanes, it's not going to burn up the way an asymmetric does and just flatten out and straighten up. That symmetric ball is going to hit that. Once it reads that pattern, the ball is going to face up towards the pocket, and that's exactly what her ball did. And that's exactly what you want a symmetric ball to do. That ball right on top of 9-10. Good shot, good finish, 238 for Bree. Liz Johnson with no 5-pin on lane 21, just a couple lanes down. I don't know if anybody noticed it or not. And Liz's second offering in the 11th wraps a 10-pin, turns a possible 195 into a 184. But, you know, at plus 203 after 6 games this morning, I'm sure she doesn't want to give 11 pins back, but she can afford to. One game down, 5 games to go here this afternoon. My man Emil Williams Jr. next to me, been a little quiet this game, first game.
Well, now that I'm back, that means the work is back too.
This is true.
And so there's some things I needed to take care of or finish and get to people to help them out, because that's what we do here. Having said that, finally, Emil has come back to Bowl TV. I just had to get it in there.
It was better this side. It was actually better there.
It was.
You weren't awake this morning, man.
No,
that was better.
No, I was not. No, I was not.
Well, we now get a chance to see a group of players on both 23 and 24 and 25 and 26 that we have not seen yet on our featured Bowl TV pairs today. 23 and 24, Daria Pajak and Clara Guerrero currently up attempting their spare conversions. Joining them is Sherry Tan and Elise Bolton. And then to our right, the only pair, I believe the only pair with 3 in the building. Yes, the only pair with 3 in the building. Jazriel Tan, Tanya Rumapir, and Shannon O'Keefe. Seems like the few times that I crossed paths with Shannon just walking up and down the concourse today, she hasn't had that normal smile, that normal, I guess, giddiness, her personality. She's not been very happy with her bowling today. Plus 67 this morning. Only one game south of 200 and 194. A couple games in the 220s. But I think she sees what her fellow competitors at the top of the leaderboard are doing and how many strikes they're throwing, and she's got to be wondering, okay, what can I do? How can I match up my equipment to this pattern to get the results that they're getting?
Another easy does it for Sherry Tan. Again, fresh off that Masters gold medal at the World Championships. You got some folks, as always, behind us, not watching us, certainly, but watching Daria. Got the cell phone, the camera phone's out. And a 10-pin there for young Daria. I say young because she is still young. I do think that's important to keep in mind every now and then, not only for someone like Daria, but other young players who, the expectations might be different in everyone else's mind. She struggled a little bit, obviously, this season. She's talked about it, mentioned it, and even took some time to try to get away and get herself together mentally and make sure she's good. Oh. 2 around the 10. Somehow that's not made from Jazriel Tan. Sporting some new specs. I like them.
That's before I get back to Daria, you talking about the 2 around the 10. That's like kicking the head pin around the 10 on a washout conversion. You basically made it. But
we talked about this.
We did in Connecticut. You made the spare. You made the split. But the pins just did not acquiesce to what you wanted.
They did for Liz Johnson.
Yes, I was kind of watching it. Oh man, if she kicks the head pin around the 10, I'm gonna feel bad.
It's Tanya, whose major record this season has been very good. So that's something to keep in mind as the tournament continues to unfold. Fourth at the Queen's, second at the U.S. Women's Open. Tends to enjoy, certainly the results say it, and she said it a little bit, sometimes the longer formats. Mm-hmm. I hear players say that a lot where, they're not worrying necessarily about the quick sprint, quick Friday qualifying day, both morning and night. In this case, a few games a day, but another day of qualifying tomorrow. So qualifying not as much of a sprint this week. Still ever so slightly on the Sprint wagon, if you will. It's part of the Sprint family, not the cellular phone company either. Sprint as in Jackie Joyner Kersey Sprint.
Very nice.
Gail Devers.
I was thinking my man Usain Bolt.
Yeah, I did too, but this is a professional women's event.
It is. Yeah, you mentioned Daria taking some time off, has been struggling this season, and that was kind of one of the things that I caught up with her about before this block started. Was I asked her, I said, it was much I say much publicized because she has a lot of followers on social media. So it was publicized that she took a little bit of a vacation and some time away after, I believe, Connecticut, just to get away, put bowling in the rearview mirror, and focus on relaxing and enjoying life, and how that has helped her bounce back coming into the Players' Championship.
Well, I just figured that there is no reason for me to try to play the catch-up game and start fresh. And I think that's what I have been doing the whole beginning of a season, to where I missed the very first cut and then I couldn't get matched up on the lanes. And from struggling with matching up on the lanes, I started to struggle physically with my game. And then as that came along, it was my mental game that started to play a really big part in it. So it was just a constant struggle. And this morning when I started with 172, I was like, what's going to happen is going to happen, all in or no. So I was like, I started fresh, and I think I'm putting way less pressure on myself right now because I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anyone, and there's no reason to try to play a catch-up anymore. It's the end of the season, so I'm just trying to be myself.
Like those words said by Daria, and the end of that, or she's just trying to be herself, is something she said once before this season. I tell you, it's difficult.
It is. Everyone out here on tour, all of these women can play. They all have amazing physical games. But you mentioned just because you have an amazing physical game doesn't mean that your mental game matches up sometimes. And, her I say inexperience just because of her age. She may be fighting a little bit of that. But she's got a title. So obviously she knows how to get it done. It's just a matter of getting everything to match up at the same time perfectly. And that's kind of what we've seen from the other end of the spectrum, so to speak, Shannon O'Keefe, over the last couple of years. Everything is matched up with her right now. And that's where all of these players aspire to get to, not just get to where Shannon is at, but to get to that level no matter who you're chasing, you aspire to get to that level.
Well, not sure Tanya liked that one. But it's an X on the scoreboard nonetheless. Wow.
It's two in a row from Daria that are just absolute bangers. Just big shots.
And that's the type of shot that just really wows the crowd. And you immediately say, she's got next. Mm-hmm. Like this is it. If you had to build a perfect bowler or something like that, you would want some of the attributes that Daria possesses. And it's about, as you said, putting it all together. I've said this before, and I think sometimes we, as in just everyone in general, as fans, You know, especially in sports where someone gets off to a great start in their career and all of a sudden these expectations and whatnot are heaped on people. And it's easy to kind of fall into that. I hate to call it a trap because it's not, but it can be. But again, mentally. I cannot say certainly anything kind of remotely close to what kind of Daria might be going through. But from an expectation perspective, sometimes the expectation that we put on ourselves are vastly, in danger of potentially hurting us.
Yes.
Than anything anyone else could say. And I've been through that. Dreams of being a collegiate All-American and different things like that, and then all of a sudden, you perform well on a national TV show. Next thing you know, someone wants to talk to you for a local newspaper. You're on the cover. And all of a sudden I had these goals for myself, to be an All-American. But now it's I have to be an All-American now because I just made a cover of a newspaper. So I can't be letting people down. I can't, now I've got this level that I was aspiring to, but instead of just continuing on the path that I was trying to be on my own and getting there at the pace that I was supposed to get there, now I'm trying to speed it up and get to, start doing things that I don't normally do, bad habits. And you heard Daria talk a little bit about a good shot there. Trying to get matched up. Then all of a sudden while she's doing that, then the physical game kind of gets off the mark. And then it's just a chain reaction. That is a true story, by the way, on the local newspaper situation. That happened to me. And I just wasn't quite ready for what that was about. In actuality, looking back on it, it was really just from what I do in this business now, and it's just a small blip. Like, hey, Congratulations, that's fantastic. You're getting an opportunity to promote yourself, promote your school, promote the sport, etc. Instead of all of a sudden I've got these heaped expectations on myself, and no one else is doing this but you.
Not a person.
Not one person. Not one person. So, again, that's just this is completely different than what Daria is essentially going through, but from the grand scheme of it, from an expectation perspective, I feel like I do have an understanding of how that can go the wrong way.
Well, 3 players in Game 1 matched their own personal expectations, as only 3 people inside the top 15 were north of 210.
How about that?
Sherry Tan, your new leader, of course, in front of us right here on 23 with the front 4, shot 266 Game 1 to get to plus 260. Another player that was in that north of 210 range, Brianna Cote, 238, is in second at plus 204. Liz Culkin, plus 191. Liz Johnson, plus 187. Birgit Poplar, plus 179. Valerie Berscier, 172. Shannon Pluhowski, 166. Missy Parkin, 162. Clara Guerrero, 160. And Diana Zavyalova in 10th at plus 155. Dasha, 134. Danielle McEwen, 125. She was the other person north of that 210 range with a 255 Game 1 this afternoon. Elise Bolton, 13th at plus 115. Daria, plus 111. Rocio Restrepo, plus 104. And outside the top 15, but inside the top 18, which is the cut number for match play, with 11 games to go. Shannon O'Keefe at plus 95. Nicole Trudell at plus 85. And Hall of Famer Kelly Kulik at plus 81. We mentioned going into Game 1, there were 6 players within 12 pins of the cut, within 12 pins of 18th that were below 18th. Well, now there's one person within 2 pins. Lindsey Boomershine is 19th at plus 79, and then it's a 13-pin drop to 20th place, the kid Sydney Brummett. So those standings around the cut quickly separated themselves a little bit, but as soon as I say that, give it a couple games, and they'll stack back up.
Remember what I said earlier today about Lindsey Boomershine? And for those of you who missed it, I mentioned Lindsay's success specifically at the Players' Championship the last 2 years, making the television show. So whatever it is about this event, and it's not even something that where you can say it's the venue. She likes the venue. It was 2 different venues, patterns, etc. She likes this event. Performs well.
Lindsay 245 the first game to make that jump up into 19th position. The cut line, 32nd place, or the cash line, 32nd place is Jordan Richard at +2. So that cash number, after the first couple of games this morning, kind of leveled itself out to right around even, and that's kind of where it's been bouncing back and forth. A little bit under, a little bit over, but still in that single-digit range. Daria, not the first player to stick a little bit on the corners. Shooting a 10-pin on 24. The great thing about this house is when they put these synthetics in, they left the wood approaches.
Do you have a preference?
As far as just approaches themselves?
Yeah, wood. Synthetic?
Wood.
Okay. I thought so based on the comment you made.
They're more consistent, a more consistent slide. You know what you're getting out of them. They're less susceptible to humidity changes, weather changes outside. They're just, wood approaches are aces in my book.
Aces. Okay. All right. Okay.
Speaking of aces, Sherry Tan royally flushed that pocket shot for the front 6 here. Game 2 this afternoon. Game 8 overall of the 18 games of qualifying. Again, 6 games this afternoon will get us to 12. Come back 8 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning.
Like cheese.
Love it. 6 more games will get us to 18. That's when we make the cut to the top 18. Those 18 players will bowl. There's some you're going to notice something here. We'll bowl 18 games of match play.
Get out of town.
Head-to-head against each of their opponents, and then 1 position round. Bonus pins available. 30 bonus pins for the win, 15 for a tie. And if you lose, well, you get your score and you move on to the next match. After those 18 games of match play, we do have a 36-game total plus your bonus. And the top 5 after that point on Friday evening will advance to the live CBS Sports Network Stepladder Finals on Sunday, September 8th at 4 p.m. And you may say, hey, there's a day off in between. That's right, because Saturday is all about Bowl with the Pros. 2 shifts of Bowl with the Pros here at Buffalo Lanes North. And I commend any player who misses the stepladder that is here. I know they are. It's more of an obligation as far as your profession, but I have yet to see a player perform in a Bowl with the Pros event and not have a smile on their face, talking to the fans, interacting with them. I'm someone, if I miss a cut, I want to get out of Dodge, man. I don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean,
I'm not a professional.
Yes. Yes. Let me read. Yes. No, I'm just playing. No, but as an athlete, we all have those moments. These players have those moments. They do. Obviously, we all know it. But, and I've seen this personally where, players will, if they have the opportunity, kind of take a few minutes to themselves, kind of regroup, and then go sign someone's autograph. Go sign a program. Go give an autograph, I should say. Sign a program. Get ready for a Bowl with the Pro event, and then have a very good time and mingle, interact with the fans. So yes, absolutely. So we're going down. I understand we'll have some youth players from the youth program. I mentioned the great youth program here at Buffalo Lanes North. They'll be participating. They actually have league first.
Saturday morning.
I think at 9 a.m. And then we get into our Bowl with the Pro events throughout the day. Just a quick note, by the way, Sherry Tan, front 7 here on 23 and 24. I'm going to get to a statement Rob McCabe just made. And momentarily, because I love Rob McCabe and I always enjoy his opinions. But just for Andrew in the chat, Andrew, appreciate you tuning in. And as people mentioned, certainly a lot of choices out there for apparel. What I just threw in the chat are some product registered companies here on tour that are in the apparel business. Apparel EFX, Coolwick, High Five Gear, Chameleon Sportswear, Logo Infusion, Rift Apparel, and Viz Sportswear. So that's just a few. Others, if you need some options or to take a look at some different things. So, and product registered, meaning these are the companies that the players can wear on the PWBA tour. So they can represent these particular brands because those brands are registered on tour. It has nothing to do with your decision on what you would like to purchase for your team. I'm simply providing you some additional options if you would like to check those out. Clara.
Hold it.
Clara looked really comfortable last week at South Point. Had a chance to catch a little bit of the team competition during the World Bowling Women's Championships. And it's no shocker there. She's looked comfortable all season. Has had a great year, especially considering the injuries she has had to deal with. Sherry Tan, 8th frame.
Oh,
good Lord. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Come on.
Oh.
All right, so speaking of Sherry Tan, Rob McCabe said, Sherry, hands down. When you throw in hands down, that means you're all in. Hands down, the best lefty in the women's game. I respect that opinion. And honestly, I could see why you'd say that, Rob.
It has some merit.
Because, you know, if you look at it, and you have to really think about the lefties in the game. And we had a lefty conversation in round 1. We talked about Shannon Pulhowski. She was on for a couple of games. You got some sound from her that we played. But, you know, that would be certainly an argument you could make between who is the best lefty in the women's game. I would have to think about it because, A, we don't see that many on tour. So we know,
correct,
you know, there is a small sample size in that regard. The only 3 I can think of just off the top of my head, and if everyone out there has someone in mind, please let us know. So I'm not purposely dismissing someone. It's simply I don't remember, and please don't forget I just had a baby. And so my memory is still not right. But all I can think about right now is Sherry Tan, Shannon Pulhowski, and Angie Ramirez-Pereira. Those are the 3 that just immediately stand out that are – at one point or another, were consistently bowling events on the PWBA tour. Whether it's Sherry Tan with Singapore, 4 to 6 events. Shannon Pulhowski is a full-timer. Angie was full-time for a while, and her job has increased in regards to responsibilities and promotions and stuff, so she's doing great stuff, which has obviously backed the opportunities for her to bowl down. But she did bowl the Queens. So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some more.
Unfortunately, I haven't been out here long enough. You know, and the PWBA that I've watched over the last couple of years has mostly been, you know, televised finals and whatnot. So my sample size from my knowledge is very small.
Yeah, I can't recall any right now. Any additional, I should say. However, Tish Johnson is bowling the senior women, or excuse me, the senior championships at World Bowling in Las Vegas. So, I can't dismiss Tish Johnson, but I totally understand what you're referring to. I do think Rob was talking about right now on tour. He did say women's game, so I'm thinking professionally.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think in the chat? That's that would certainly be up for if you like your first takes and you're on what's the Fox show? What's the Shannon Sharp show?
Oh,
Skip.
Is that Undisputed?
There you go. If you like those, that would be one of those where you just kind of go at it and state your case. Hey, Danny, appreciate you. As always, my friend, as of right now, what Sunday is the show, right?
Yep.
I will be, should be returning on Sunday. Saturday, I'm going to jet home for a wedding. Frustration there for Tanya. A week 10 there, and that's leaving her the possibility of 206. Elise Bolton split in the 10th frame, open in the 10th. Ooh. Good Aaron Smith. Aaron. Where are you? Where is Aaron at today? Shot there from Daria. I thought this overall was a pretty solid game from Daria. Well, she's thrown the majority, pretty good shots. I think everyone wants to see Daria bowl well, long term. And because she's, from a talent-wise, we don't really have to go into that, right? We already know. If you talk to her, very good person, loves the sport, and has an understanding of kind of who follows her. Obviously, a lot of young fans.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that aspect of it, you know, everyone kind of wants to see her do well. Not only, again, for herself first and foremost, but I think for the sport overall. Because in my opinion, you know, this could be certainly disagreeable. My opinion, she potentially, she's already got the reach, but it could be as big as the Jason Belmonte, in my opinion. That's certainly open for disagreements, totally okay. But from what I've seen so far, and if you watch her social media, how many followers she has, she could have that potential, that type of reach overall.
Yeah, 53,400 followers on Instagram.
I mean, it's Belmont. Just curious. I'm sure he's in the triple digits.
104. 1,000.
True. I guess is the next closest from the PWBA perspective on Instagram is Danielle and or Shannon in some order.
Danielle, 36.6. Shannon, 22.5.
Got some lefties, some names starting to roll on out. Historically, absolutely. Alita Sill. Thanks, Patricia. Hope Prairie View A&M is off to a good start for you. She mentioned Amanda Fry, who is a PWBA member and is a current member and does bowl. Good poll thrown up there from Aaron Smith, who's maestroing today. In your opinion, who is the top left-handed bowler of all time on the PWBA Tour? Excellent shot there for Sherry Tan, and she will be in the 270s.
Not a bad start after shooting 266 the first game.
Well, well, there you have it. Business is about to pick up.
And in the chat, who was it that said, oh, sorry, I got my names mixed up. Deborah said Kelly Kulik, 268. For some reason, my mind thought Shannon P.
Say that again?
Deborah in the chat congratulated Kelly Kulik on 268. When we were just talking, for some reason, my mind was thinking it was Shannon Blahowski that she was. I was like, oh, left side's getting good.
Well, it's good for Sherry Tan right now.
No kidding. 279 points that game. Looks like a chunk of the votes went towards Tish Johnson. 54% of you.
I think you could probably add a name or two, as some have mentioned in the chat.
Yeah.
It could change it. Could change the results, obviously. It's based on opinion, who you like, who you think.
Everybody jumping one pair to the right to start off game 3. So the 4 players we had on 23 and 24, we'll get them right next door on 25 and 26. We welcome to our featured pairs Giselle Poss, Missy Parkin, Christine Johnston, and Kayla Bandy.
Nice shot opening for Christine Johnston. Dee Davidson was mentioned, by the way, along with Paula Carter, Dana Miller-Mackey. Will, I'm assuming you're referring to Daria in that sense. Because overall, I would agree. That's why Shannon is the best player on tour.
And I don't know that we were trying to compare Daria to Shannon.
I was not.
No.
That was not the intention there. But in that situation, you are still, he's correct. That yes, that is correct. But that wasn't where we were going. In reference to the sheer talent and physical abilities. Those, at this point, because where everyone's familiar with Daria, kind of go without saying. Those are things that everyone generally is drawn to, etc. And then it's the molding, figuring everything else out. And honing in, and everything else that she mentioned may be wrong, what she's been doing, the bad habits, all of that stuff.
Well, talent and skills are two different things. You can learn skills. You can't earn or find God-given talent. She has the talent. It's pretty obvious. But it's about sharpening and honing in on your skills. That's just what you said, honing in, sharpening those skills, and getting to be as good as you can. And me personally, as a bowler and a competitor, I will criticize everything a player does from the foul line forward. Ball choices, surfaces, drillings, how they play the lanes, where they're playing the lanes. I have no problem calling that out. But as far as a physical game, there are things that I do in my physical game that I've been told are wrong. But I've been pretty successful for where I've tried to take my career. All these players are the same. You can look at most any player and find one thing that you might not like. But for all you know, that thing you don't like about their game is a strength. And maybe that's a reason why they're so good. So I'm cautious to criticize physical games at this level because all of them are better than me. So
I think that's all fair. And I think certainly the right way to certainly take a look. But it kind of goes to show almost what we were talking about, what I mentioned a little bit earlier, where like she's kind of become a polarizing figure, but to no fault of her own, because everyone is kind of locked in on what's going on with her. Why is she isn't winning at the rate that people think she should be winning at.
Well, and it's the same trend we see in other major sports. Everyone's looking for the next Tiger, the next MJ, the next, maybe this is going too far back, the next Babe Ruth. Everyone's looking for the next great, and they will.
Good Lord. Wow. Fair enough, bro.
They will put these players on a pedestal before they're ready. 5 years ago, Rory McIlroy, he was the next Tiger. Well, guess what? He's not. He's still a great golfer. He's one of the best of his generation. He's one of the best on the courses. But everybody's looking to find the next great. And Daria goes out and wins a tournament, and she gets canonized as boom. Oh, she's going to be the next whatever. And just because she doesn't live up to some ridiculous expectations that others have of her,
everyone progresses at their own rate. That's just the way that part kind of goes. It's going to happen. Only thing I would say, I'd be shocked if it ever didn't happen.
What's that? People. Okay, yeah.
If she didn't ascend to the level that people would think that she would ascend to based on what she has provided us in the last couple of years. Elise Bolton. Well, Elise was in the top 18 after round number 1.
Well, after 2 games this afternoon, Sherry Tan has a 115-pin lead. She's at plus 339 over Liz Johnson in second, who's at plus 224.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. When did that happen?
Hold the phone. I got it. It happened when Sherry shoots 545 for the first 2. Going back to her last game this morning, Sherry's shot 804 her last 3 games. That's when that happened. Liz second at plus 224. Shannon Pluhowski third, plus 214. Brianna Cote fourth, plus 196. Clara Guerrero, plus 180. Liz Culkin, plus 179. Birgit Poplar, plus 176. Missy Parkin, plus 158. Kelly Kulik in ninth at 149. Dasha Kovalova at 147. Diana Zavyalova, 142. Valerie Berscier, 141. Shannon O'Keefe in 13th at plus 128. Solid start for her, plus 61 the first 2 games this afternoon. Danielle McEwen in 14th, plus 123. Nicole Trudell, 118. And outside the top 15, inside the top 18 cut. Daria Pajak, plus 115. Rocio, 105. And Elise Bolton at plus 98. That is your cut line for match play. Your cash line is Stephanie Martins, -6, tied with Christine Gill, also at -6 for 32nd position.
Hey, Brenda. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Derek, good example. As you all know, I mean, it's, you know, he enjoyed the conversation. I shot there for at least 3 in a row. Jazrael Tan off to an early double. This is game 3, by the way. Game 3 of 6. I was going to say the only thing that looks like might stop Sherry Tan right now would be 7 pins, but the one fell forward in the second frame. So we very well could be in for a treat here this round.
So far we have been 545, plus 145 to start the afternoon for Sherry Tan. Again, 804 for her last 3 games. 259 her final game this morning. And then 266 and 279 to start this afternoon block. Clara staring down her second split in 3 frames. Second split on this left lane to start game number 3.
I believe at some point, I know the points, chat was going on and during game 1. And I believe we will, Clara gave it a run. We'll have something to potentially show and give you a good look at what's happening or what has taken place basically from that standpoint through round 1 today.
Giselle Post looking at a 3rd split in a row here on our featured pair. And this morning and these first 2 games have not gone the way that she expected or wanted them to go coming into today. As far as the points were concerned, Giselle was in 20th position coming into today. Knew that she had to have a really good tournament to give herself a chance. But some pretty serious struggles this morning early on. Finished up the block better, finished plus 37 the last 3 games. But a very rough start on the fresh this morning and a similar rough start on the fresh this afternoon.
See, the 8 pins haven't left since I've been gone.
They're nowhere near as bad as Silver Lanes. We saw some humdingers in Orlando, but not as bad as Connecticut.
By the way, we will be live, of course, on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports Network. The live TV finals of the QubicaAMF PWBA Players Championship. Buffalo Lanes North, our host, 5 centers in the Buffalo family. Family-owned centers, family-ran. It's been a family business, I believe. But, oh, my goodness gracious. Hashtag Team No 8 and 9 pins.
Woof, bro. Woof.
All right, good shot there from Daria. Now clean through 5. Well, perhaps the only thing that's going to stop Sherry Tan is
Stone 9 pins.
9 pins. And, of course, unfortunately, that literally did stop her from potentially winning a title this year at the season opening event in Cleveland, where that very pin, and they look very similar, ended any chance in the 10th frame. If I recall, it was at least a double. Maybe she needed them all, but at least a double to defeat Josie Barnes. All right, folks, so the point graphic that we're discussing, the Tour Championship points graphic, updated with points basically as of the conclusion of round 1 today. We will throw that up here on Bowl TV at the conclusion of this game, game number 3, because it does take up the majority of the screen, and we would like you to have a good look at it, of course, so I don't want you to miss any of the action here. So be on the lookout for that. Uh-oh. That one bounced for Kayla, but into the curtain. So be on the lookout for that. Again, updated points following or after the conclusion of round 1 earlier today. Updated with points from where the players stood at that particular time.
$16 pounds of fury for Missy Parkin. Can't get the 7 pin out. Talked a little bit with her last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, in Orlando, about her decision to throw 16. And I think Cecil told me she's the only player out here that throws, one of the only player on the regular tour that throws 16, if I remember correctly.
I'm almost positive that is correct. What did she, do you recall what she discussed with you about that?
I'd have to go back and re-listen to it. I do not 100% remember.
That was a popular question at one point on Bowl TV. Question was in regards to ball weight. What was the most common weight that players threw out on tour? We talked about Brianna Cote and her switch from 15 to 14 2 seasons ago. Really a season and a half ago, I guess, at this point, because she did it in the second half of the season.
So I'm back and listened to it, and Missy said that
Coming
she's
in there hot,
yeah,
son.
I know. She's thrown 16 since she was 15 years old, and 15 pounds just feels too light to her. So to keep her timing and her swing in check and her physical game where she wants it, there's no sense in changing. 16 has served her well throughout her career. I would agree with her.
Yeah, you can't really argue with the results.
No sense in changing.
Shot there to our left from Jennifer Hopersack. Made the drive from Connecticut. Her and her husband drive to, or have driven to each event she's participated in this year. They are from Orange, Connecticut. So just to give you an idea on where they're driving from and how long it might potentially take them. Part of the driver crew on tour.
Solid game that Kayla Bandy's putting together here. Kayla has struggled from the get-go this morning on this oil pattern. Through 8 games, does not have a game in the plus category. Highest game of the day, a 199. The final game of the morning block. So she is certainly going to be in, I would comfortably say in the 200s here. She can max out at a 256. But if she stays clean, she's still in the 2-teen range. Split in the 5th, 9th spare in the 1st. Strikes the rest of the way. That ball for Clara did not want to get up the hill, maybe a little bit too far right. Good shot by Kayla. Give her hits.
Kayla struggled earlier this morning. She's got some work to do. She can regain at least half, perhaps, of what she lost to give herself a good chance for tomorrow.
Kayla right now, after 8, minus 177. She's, I think, a player in her position is going, okay, how can I get to that cash line? How can I salvage some money out of this trip? In the world that we live in, bowling is not a money-making deal when you and I lace up the shoes, but it's not our profession. It's not our job. For these players, this is their profession. So, yes, they're here for the glory and the fame and the accolades and the prestige of winning PWBA events, but they're also out here to make money and cash checks. That stone 9-pin for Sherry has opened up the floodgates of single pins, but 9 spares better than a red number up there. Daria, big move left. Big zone change right there. I thought maybe to an extent she was kind of trying to force the ball in the area of the lane she was in. And she was firing it up, 6, 7, 8, but she didn't look comfortable. It looked forced. And now that she's moved in, maybe soften up on the ball speed a little bit, kind of get closer to her A game, so to speak.
Yeah, it might be about that time also where
She can, yeah.
do such things and still see good ball motion. The end of the pattern. I think Drew Park.
Ball change for Sherry Tan.
Nicely done. Drew mentioned that Missy would or does muscle. So she'll muscle as she's throwing 15 pounds. Appreciate that extra insight from someone who certainly would know best.
Yeah.
Drew, and I appreciate the well wishes and the congrats, sir. I got a lot of people to get back to and thank, and we just haven't had a chance to do it, but thank you.
Jennifer, to answer your question, on the PWBA.com website, on the stats link, we do have the earnings leaders for the tour this year. Emil, correct me if I'm wrong, those earnings are simply tournament earnings.
Correct.
That would not be, we are not privy to any sponsorship deals these players have with their respective companies. So, yeah, that earnings number is simply tournament earnings this year. But to give you just a little quick rundown, Shannon O'Keefe leads the way. Dasha, Danielle, Jordan Richard, and Josie round out the top 5 as far as earnings go. But all that information, as well as points, season average, cashes, and TV appearances, all that is available at pwba.com. Click on the stats icon, and that will take you right to that page. Good shot by Kayla. Woo, that was a nice ball motion. Oh, she can do that 3 more times this afternoon.
Nicely done.
4, 6, 7, 9. Nice conversion by Elise Bolton right there. Does well to keep her inside the top 18 cut. Currently 18th at plus 98, 212 and a quarter average. Loses a little bit of count on the 6 after the 4 in a row, but saves a lot of count by making that very difficult split.
Thanks, Judith. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All is indeed good. It actually couldn't be better. Again, want to remind you, we talked about the Tour Championship points template that we will display in between games, or I should say after this game, so in between games 3 and 4. And it will be on your screen for approximately 90 seconds. That's going back to the earlier conversation we had to start this round. I should say the earlier conversation that you guys had amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
In regards to points, where they stand, and potential scenarios as well. I think someone mentioned there was a possibility, small possibility, but albeit mathematical, that Danielle can not only win the award, potentially, but she could come away with both, meaning Tour Championship Player of the Year. That mathematically is still possible. If my sources are correct.
Depends on how much you trust your sources.
He's pretty trustworthy.
Gave us the wrong score of game 1 this morning. I don't mean he like misread a 9 for an 8 or something. I mean, we were 40 pins off. I don't think a 7 and a 3 look at all alike.
Well, I did notice he the next time he gave us an opportunity to that someone could potentially shoot 279.
Yeah.
He did make sure that to say that they could punch out for 279 as an example.
But Mr. A. Aaron is a trooper for being here this week. When we were getting breakfast yesterday, he looks at me and he goes, "You ever just wake up, every muscle in your body hurts?" He's fighting a nasty little head cold, chest cold right now, so.
Somehow I feel this is my fault. I don't know why or how.
Well, my only concern is to keep him away from you, because you don't need to be taking that home to Chi-Town.
Of course.
Oh, field ball. Okay, well, it doesn't make it any better, but.
Tough game here for Giselle.
Yeah.
But some positive moments to take away at the end, 169.
Another pocket split and a fill ball, Clara Guerrero, pocket 7-10. Sherry Tan looking to shoot. She punches out. Oh, no. That sounded like, yeah. Well. Probable 2-11 on the board for Sherry Tan. And in this format, every pin matters. All the pins carry over from block to block. We move into match play. Every pin matters. I mean, just 2 weeks ago in Orlando, the number 1 seed and then the number 5 seed, the final position for the TV, the televised stepladder finals. Both of those races came down to 1 shot after 22 games of qualifying. For the most part, this field has been pretty even as far as their timing. I mentioned that because it kind of gets quiet in here because everyone is moving at the same time, with the exception of one pair finishing up down 31-32. Every now and then you see maybe a lane breakdown or a slow pair, and it'll cause, the squad to get out of whack, so to speak. But everyone's even. Take a look at your screen right now. The graphic is up. The road to Richmond. These points are updated after the morning block. Already in based on their wins this season. Shannon O'Keefe, Danielle McEwen, Dasha Kovalova, Jordan Richard, Josie Barnes, Shayna Ung, and Sandra Anderson. The next 9 advancing on points based on where they stand after this morning. Liz Johnson, Missy Parkin, Liz Culkin, Clara Guerrero, Maria Jose Rodriguez, Birgit Poplar, Brianna Cote, Stephanie Johnson, and Tanya Romapier.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that just goes to show how delicate this situation is. 1 round, and Zavyalova now, obviously all bite a few points back. We understand, but nonetheless, a few points back, and not currently in the mix at the moment. This is just after round 1. And these point totals reflect where they stood in the standings after this morning's round. Again, qualifying will be complete tomorrow. Oh, excuse me, I guess tomorrow afternoon, barring, of course, the final 8 games in the morning.
And to give you all a little light in on how we did those points, what they have now. For example, Birgit Poplar was your leader. We did not give her first place points. We gave the people in the stepladder the guaranteed minimum they would get. So Birgit, being the number 1 seed, at worst, she would finish second. So in that mathematical equation, we gave her the 18,000 points for second instead of the $25,000 for first. Take a look at who joins us on our featured pairs to start off game number 4 this afternoon. 23 and 24, Stephanie Johnson, Stephanie Martins, Summer Jasmine, and Tiffany Taylor. Tiffany, the only local we have in the field from right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. On 25 and 26, Jennifer Hogersack, Lindsay Boomershine, New Wei Finn, and our tournament leader coming into this block, Birgit Poplar. And our 2 stops in Connecticut and Louisville. We've seen where once Birgit Poplar can get in and open up the lane a little bit, she is dangerous. We mentioned, I believe earlier this morning, she shot 268 in the round of 12 in Connecticut in the final game to jump from 5th up to 2nd. Won her first match on TV and went on to face Shannon O'Keefe in the final. Shannon O'Keefe came out victorious in that matchup. And then in Louisville, on that longer pattern where players were chasing it a little bit left, or they're chasing it way left and following that hold, Birgit once again made TV. So when she can move in and open up the lane a little bit, she is one of the stronger players in the field. Shot 268 the final game of qualifying this morning to jump up into the lead, but has struggled on the fresh this morning, or excuse me, this afternoon. This morning on the fresh, the first 3 games, she goes 255, 205, 225. And her first 2 games on the fresh this afternoon, 174 and 197. And just as fast as Santa Claus drops off the presents on Christmas Eve, the scores have been updated online. Again, pwba.com/live, or on your Bowl TV tab. Click the 3rd icon, looks like a little book. Click on tournament information below that, and that will take you directly to that link for any tournament information you need. Sherry Tan, your leader at plus 350. That lead, however, has dwindled after Shannon Pluhowski jumps into 2nd, plus 273. So the only 2 lefties in the field are 1-2 right now. Watch out, conspiracy theorists. We see you coming. Put your aluminum foil hats away. This is bowling. Liz Johnson is 3rd, plus 240. Brianna Cote, 4th at plus 213. Liz Culkin, 5th, plus 206. Birgit Poplar, plus 198. Shot 222 the last game, so good bounce back for her. Valerie Berscier, 234 the last game for her. She's at plus 175. Clara Guerrero, 171. Missy Parkin, 164. And Dasha Kovalova in 10th at 149. Tied in 11th. This must be the international section of the standings. Dasha in 10th. Tied in 11th, Daria Pajak and Diana Zavyalova at 143 over Kelly Kulik. 138, Elise Bolton, 130. And 15th, Rocio Restrepo, 129. Outside the top 15, but inside the top 18 cut with 9 games to go, halfway through qualifying before the cut for match play. Shannon O'Keefe in 16th, just keeping her head above water right by that cut, plus 120. Emile's own Lindsay Boomershine. He mentioned Lindsay a threat in these majors. Plus 115, and Danielle McEwen in 18th at plus 101. A couple names just outside the cut, within striking distance, no pun intended. Nicole Trudell at plus 91, she's 10 pins out. Sydney Brummett at 86 over. Summer Jasmine at 80 over. Summer with a 695 to start this afternoon. And Stephanie Johnson at plus 68. After that, you're looking at about a 50-pin drop down to 23rd Gigi Mason and beyond. The cash line, Jody Wessner, hovering right around that even number at plus 3. Dawn, not only did I not bowl in the 60s and 70s, I didn't live in the 60s and 70s. I was born in 86, so although my knowledge of the game is pretty well founded, so I do know of what you speak. Whew. Stephanie gets it to hold. Carries out the high flush hit. Steph, one of the players that I spoke with this afternoon, mind you, and one of the first things we talked about was how she was going to approach the start of this block differently than this morning. This morning, Stephanie starts 190, 180, so she's minus 30 right out the gate, but finished 29, 27, 47, 08. So after a minus 30 start, she gets to plus 81, and I asked her, just what can you do to start out a little bit stronger this afternoon?
I'm more than likely going to start with a different ball. I think where I started earlier forced me too far right. Kind of got myself a little tricked, but I made a ball change in the middle of game 2. Moved my eyes a little bit, my alignment a little differently, and the picture was just clearer.
And to follow up on some conversations I had with some fans during the lunch break, they were talking about, Stephanie is our defending Players Champion from 2018, and I asked Stephanie, there's a perceived pressure that a defending champion faces, perceived by the fans. Is there an actual pressure that you feel, or is this just something that those of us that are not in the pit area, not on the approach, is this just something we assume? And she gave me a pretty good answer about that.
No, there's no extra pressure being the defending champion. I mean, I'm honored, obviously, that I won this event last year, but I don't come into it thinking I have anything to prove to myself or to anybody. I approach it just like I do any other event, and that's to literally bowl the best that I can and hope that it's good enough that week.
Certainly, Stephanie's success in bowling is well documented, well known, so I would think that in certain situations, these players, even to the extent of Stephanie, formerly, I keep thinking Stephanie Nation, that's how I knew her as a youth bowler, but Stephanie Johnson, in certain situations, I'm sure there is pressure that is felt, but these players are able to turn that pressure, turn it around on its back, and use it to their advantage, and simply be aggressive and not let the pressure of the moment get to them. They get to the moment, and that's why they are so successful. Derek, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you're hanging out with us to watch Liz. Just a guess. But if you can hang out for Game 6, not only will she be on our featured pair, but Liz was one of the players that I got a chance to speak with in between blocks. And I've got some audio from her talking about her last couple of weeks between the TV show in Orlando and then her success at the Women's World Championships in Las Vegas, as well as her doing a little recap of her morning block, how well she bowled, and just basically this momentum that she's carried forward over the last 3 or so weeks. And I urge all of you to hang with us right here on Bowl TV as we are halfway through Game 4 of the afternoon block of qualifying at the 2019 QubicaAMF PWBA Players Championship from Buffalo Lanes North right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, I am Daniel Farish alongside Emil Williams Jr. Emil has stepped away for just a hot minute, take care of some work, and I see him with his phone out, and he's probably showing some baby pictures, but that's what he spent a majority of his time doing yesterday, and that is A-okay with us. You know it's coming. Good look at Tiffany Taylor on lane 24. Tiffany, the only local in the field from right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Very well thrown shot right there. Gets him to crumble. Yet another 7-10 and Lindsay Boomershine. 5 splits in 6 frames. Lindsay had just moved inside the top 18 after shooting. She shot 681 the first 3 games this afternoon to get to plus 115. But certainly this pair is giving her some fits. Get the 4.57 out, Stephanie. Can't say she really liked that motion, but it worked. Lindsay certainly capable of throwing 6 strikes in a row to get to 184. The only problem is it's a lot easier to throw 6 strikes in a row when you are lined up, have the right ball in your hand, have the right motion, you're confident in your shot making and your equipment. And based on the first 6 frames of this game, I don't think Lindsay has any of that right now. Certainly the bowling ball doing not what she expected. She's made a ball change. I know at least one. Another 7-10 here. Stephanie Martins over on lane 24. Stephanie has seen her fair share of time with Team Brazil. She was one of the youth players that was selected to represent Team Brazil at the American Zone Championships, one of the 2 tournaments I had the opportunity to bowl as a member of junior team back in '06. Roll the 9. Tiffany can't get the 9 to fall. Big thank you to all of our Bowl TV viewers. I know if you are like me, you are not only fans of the PWBA, but collegiate bowling, youth bowling, and of course the PBA. And for all of the up-to-date details on the upcoming PBA Tour season, including breaking news, schedule, and ticket information and scoring from all events, head over to PBA.com to follow the action live on the PBA network. New Way Finn on the front 6. Can't get the flat 10 to fall in the 7th. However, wash, rinse, repeat. Tell me if you heard this before. Sherry Tan on the front 7. And that's down on 29 and 30. And for the second time in a row, Sherry has been on front 7 and has stuffed a 9-pin. What does Emil say? Hashtag no team 8-pin. Or team no 8-pin, team no 9-pin. Good Lordy goodness. And then Sherry misses it. She misses the 9-pin. Not something you expect to see. See if Lindsay Boomershine can, as they say, get off the schneid here. 7 splits in 8 frames. Good shot. Summer Jasmine converts the 4-7-10. Very nice shot over on lane 23. And now that Lindsay's got a strike, her second strike of the game on the board there in the 8th, as much as the competitor wants to push and throw 4 more to get to 163 and save it as best you can, too many times we as competitors will try to force a strike and end up splitting. Not something she can afford another one of. So I think at this point on this pair, she needs to make the best shots that she possibly can in the 9th and 10th. Let the pins fall where they may, and then get the heck off this pair. Lindsay moved in quite a bit on that shot compared to the one on 26. Throwing a physics, a stronger asymmetric ball. Storm asymmetric ball. Looked like a lot of surface on that thing, trying to get that thing to dig into the lane and read. No, Chris E is proudly showing off pictures of E3 to any and everyone who will ask, and maybe not even ask. He might just walk up and go, "Hey, take a look at my baby." The proud papa right there. I have no problem letting that man roam free. Once we get to match play, though, I'll rein him in a little bit. Elise Bolton, a nice 269, a couple pair down on the same pair. That is a star-studded pair this game. Elise Bolton, 269. Clara just throws the first strike in the 10th. She can punch for 52. Daria 245, and that was with a 7-2 in the 11th. And Sherry Tan, after the front 7, goes 9 miss, 9 spare, and she's shooting a 6-pin now. So Daria could be low on the pair at 245. That's rough. Clara does get the second strike in the 10th. So she's in the 250s with good count in the fill. This is all down on 29 and 30. Sherry Tan and Clara both with their fill balls remaining. Sherry can strike for 46 and Clara can strike for 52. Elise already in the clubhouse that game at 69. Sherry gets a 7 count, so she'll shoot 243 and be low on the pair. Start with front 7 and you're low on the pair. Y'all think scores are going up? Holy moly. New Way Finn, solid 240 game after the front 6 start. She is currently in 43rd position at, well, 43rd at minus 43. Just 46 pins out of the cash line. A game this big, when you're that far down in the standings, can jump you up a lot of spots. That's exactly what she's going to be looking to do following a nice 243 here on our featured pairs. Stephanie Martin's 4 in a row. A very unique approach, a little hop in her power step in that 4th step. Kayla Bandy just to our right, a strike in the 10th frame. Gives her a 4-bagger. She can punch for 221. That shot right there at least put her in the 2-0s. That'll be 2+ games in a row for Kayla. right, 4 games down, 2 games left this afternoon, and we'll complete our qualifying for the day. Still 6 games left tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to determine what 18 players will advance to the round-robin match play portion of the tournament. Joining us here, Game 5 this afternoon, Danielle McEwen, Jordan Richard, Carrie Smith, Julia Bond, all on 23 and 24. Over on 25 and 26, Bernice Lim, Ashley Galante, and KT Simpson. Oh, the double love on the 7-10 for Julia Bond. Solid break for her here in the second frame. Starts the game off with a double. What'd you think about that 7-10, E?
Well, that's a break that you certainly like. If I had to grade it, I'd probably give it like a good 8.5.
Okay.
It wasn't like it wasn't quick off the sidewall, and so, but it was good enough. So I'll take that 8.5. Back with you here at Game 5. What did I miss, Mr. Farish?
Not much here on our featured pairs. Lindsay Boomershine did fight back after 6 splits in the first 7 frames.
Wow.
She fought back to strike in the 8th, 9th, and 10th and get back into the mid-150s. So a game that could have gone a little bit worse, but not much worse. She was able to salvage. A couple pair down, we had the foursome of Clara Guerrero, Elise Bolton, Sherry Tan, and Daria Pajak. Sherry had the front 7 and was low on the pair.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You took care of it then. Because I was right in front of that pair, since they're right behind it. As I was moving through and making sure some things were okay, and I stopped.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I should probably stand here for a bit just to make sure I don't miss anything. We don't miss anything. And, yes, that pair. What pair was that?
31.
31, right? 31, 32?
29-30, sorry.
29-30. So pretty impressed so far with Elise Bolt.
Yes.
If you just had to say or choose a player, that stood out to you today, right now I have to say her, especially based on good performance at the regional showdown. And, comes out, Players Championship. Obviously sees something that she likes. And so it'll be a good opportunity for us at some point to find out maybe exactly what she liked about this pattern and what's been working. And, hopefully, I know what was it, before or prior to me going on break or leave, I want to say she was nursing a small injury prior to that, right?
She hurt her back doing a cartwheel.
I feel like I could do that.
Yeah.
Right now. I feel like I could hurt myself doing something like that too.
Yeah, Elise was plus 101 after this morning, good for 14th. And she's third high in the building for her first 4 games this afternoon at plus 98 for the afternoon. We do have some scores after 4 games. No surprise here, Sherry Tan maintains her lead, plus 393. Liz Johnson in second, plus 275, so a 118-pin lead. Shannon Pluhowski, plus 270. I think you stepped away at this point, but after Game 3 this afternoon, the top 2 spots were owned by lefties. Sherry and Shannon were 1-2. Left side's good this week. Where are you lefties at? Clara Guerrero's 4th at plus 223. Birgit Poplar 5th at plus 217. Liz Culkin at 208. Brianna Cote at 200. Elise Bolton 199. Valerie Berscier 196. And in 10th, Daria Pajak at plus 188. Rocio is 11th, 163. Missy Parkin 145. Danielle McEwen 144. Dasha Kovalova 140. And in 15th place, Shannon O'Keefe at 132. Outside the top 15, inside the top 18 cut with just 8 games remaining. Diana Zevyalova at 128 over. Sydney Brummett in 17th at 122 over. And the cut, Kelly Kulik at plus 118, 118. 2 players within 23 pins of her. Nicole Trudell is 5 pins out of the cut in 19th. And Summer Jasmine in 20th at plus 95, but it is 39 pins from Kelly in 18th down to 21st place Gigi Mason and beyond that.
Well, it's going to be a good time in the morning. That last qualifying block, because I think we've watched. Let's see, Gigi, had some stumbles at the end of round 1 this morning. That cost her, I think, 31 pins.
169 the final game. Yes, sir.
You just mentioned Lindsey Boomershine's struggles on this pair. So just take those 2 games from those respective players, and they're in the number. So that only leads, of course, us to believe that the first 6 games tomorrow, which will be the last 6 games of qualifying, are going to be exactly what we would expect them to be. It's going to be a lot on the line. For some, this will be, the other thing is this, and we haven't really touched on it, but it is the reality. For someone, or I'm sorry, for how many players we got? 50?
50. The cash line, by the way, has hovered around even for most of the day. It is even after 4 games this afternoon. New Way Finn in 32nd is even.
So for 32 players, the season will end. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not right. Some players might not advance to match play, and obviously will make the Tour Championship. For some players, this will be the end of the season. This is the final regular season event, so there's that kind of small element. It's not, it's one of those things where it is what it is. That's something you're not thinking about, but that's the reality. And no one wants the season to end. That's actually one of the biggest things that from a fan perspective, people talk to us about it all the time. Man, I wish the season was longer. I think the players sometimes wish it was a little bit longer as well. Sometimes they probably don't.
It's a good point, yeah.
But that's what's happening. That's that other small reality that people have to take into account, and only 16 players will participate in the Tour Championship in a couple of weeks. And a 9-pin there for Julia Bond. That is a good question, Jennifer. I'm not sure, in its current state, or new state, if you will, of the Tour. Nice shot there for KT. That we've had a defined Triple Crown, if you will. There's certainly 2 for sure that would always be in the Triple Crown scenario or category.
Yes.
The Queen's U.S. Women's Open, without question. But there are only 4 majors. As Aaron mentioned in the chat, Tour Championship is new, but it's as new as the Tour. We're 5 years in at this point. I guess maybe the only drawback you might say is that only 16 people can make that event. If you were to if you had stipulations or requirements or something like that, whereas the Players Championship open to all members.
Right.
So anyone, membership obviously, can enter that event. But Tour Championship means you've earned a spot at some point during that season. So which one do you weigh more?
Well, I like the way I'm more in favor of not including the Tour Finals as a major simply because of what you just said, how it's not open to any members. It's you earn your way there. More so than saying, well, the Tour Finals is only as old. It's only 5 years old, because at some point the Queen's was in its first year.
Sure.
The Women's U.S. Open was in its first year. So, I mean, if a tournament has prestige, not put on it necessarily by the association, but by the players and by the field, by the fans, I think it has earned the right to be a major. But yeah, I like your reasoning for it's not open to any members. It's earned.
I'm being that devil's advocate, if you will. If we're talking about, what would you have in a Triple Crown? And right now it'd be Players Championship or Tour Championship.
Players.
which one would you say, or what would be your argument, if you will? Obviously, again, if your argument for the players, you might say that is a members-only event, etc. If you say Tour Championship, which still is a members-only, we should clarify, make sure we get that part. You still do have to be a member to earn a spot in the Tour Championship. If you win a title and you're not a member on tour, it doesn't count as official PWBA Tour title.
That happened this year.
Correct.
Amanda Green.
Correct. So just in case people may get that mixed up. But Tour Championship, you do earn your spot. So, that's not taking anything away from someone. In fact, you could argue that because someone earned their spot, either by winning or having a great season and making it through points, that in itself is enough. And would increase the level of prestige. And if you even think about it in this manner, because of the location of the Tour Championship the last 3 years, and just the, it's the season ending. It's supposed to be, a Super Bowl, World Series,
Type
NBA
atmosphere.
Finals type of atmosphere, and it has presented that since it's moved to Richmond Raceway. And it started in Arlington, Texas at the ITRC, then went to Richmond. First and foremost in 2016 at Uptown Alley. And Aaron Smith, being a fantastic maestro, producer, and board operator right now, poses the question, which player has won the Queens, U.S. Women's Open, and Players Championship since the relaunch of the PWBA Tour in 2015? I like it. There is an answer to this question. I do know it based on the choices.
You better.
Do you know the answer?
Yes.
Okay. I'll just check. You ain't got to get all, all in your feelings about it. I'm just asking the question.
I feel like I know the answer.
Just asking the question. I too feel that I do know the answer. Okay, folks, back with you. I'm just letting you all know that obviously we got one event to go, but that little small blip that occurs, it's not going to happen next year, guaranteed. I hate it when we think we have it figured out in a couple weeks and go, oh, it's something different. Come on. Good Lord. Good Lord. The results. The correct answer was Liz Johnson. 24 of you had the correct answer. Liz won the Queens in its relaunch season, 2015. Of course, also won the U.S. Women's Open in back-to-back years at that point, 15, 16, and 17, and the Players' Championship in 2017, as we talked about a little bit earlier during this round. Chris Pulliam, I like that idea too. You could say the heck with it. You are going Grand Slam, and if you win all of them at some point, that too is, nothing to be. Yeah, I think the phrase Triple Crown just has a historic meaning. But when you think about it and the way Chris is thinking about it, like tennis in the Grand Slam sense, yeah,
or golf.
Absolutely, or golf, right? Hey, listen, if you win all 4 majors in a season, we've only got 4 majors. Or if you've won them at least once in your career.
A career
at
slam.
some point. No one's going to argue that, you know, you didn't win something that you shouldn't have won. You didn't get the credit that you certainly deserve. Good stuff in the chat from our Bowl TV viewers. I will say that I missed this interaction. I had plenty to do. Plenty to do at home. Like I said, every now and then I check on things and try to you know, check in really at the end of a block just to, you know, see what's going on. I did watch the shows that were on, but I watched the shows, tried to interact in the group. On the
You did?
group.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just take it in, like I said earlier, from in a different light, different perspective. Solely from a fan, enjoyed it from my couch with my son. We had a small family gathering actually. Once I let everyone know that he was going to be on TV, we had some folks come over. Shanice's parents came over. We had some other friends come over. My good friend Dre. Actually, Dre's parents came over too because they hadn't seen the baby yet. So, and much like from what I understand happened in the building, there was an awe moment.
There was an awe in the TV truck. I'll tell you that.
I tell you, he's got that gift, man. He'll make you awe. Haley Richard right now. Not only making folks awe, but we could be in awe.
And oohing and awing.
Of what Haley could potentially be on the cusp of. Where is Haley in the standings? Where might this game potentially get her? Can she make a nice jump?
She's minus 48 right now.
Hey.
So this game is going to put her in the cash number.
Bang.
That's 9 in a row.
KVK is down on the scene.
Oh, late hit on the 8-pin for Sister Jordan over on lane 23. Jordan inside the cash cut, plus 30 overall. Went plus 6 this morning. Started 170, 170. Finished pretty strong based on the start. And then this afternoon is plus 24. A 225 and then a bunch of games right around 192.0 to keep her at plus 24 for the block, plus 30 overall.
Look at the scores here. And we heard from KT Simpson a little bit earlier. Did we hear from KT Simpson?
We did,
right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You good. Baby brain.
Man, I'm telling you.
We're gonna hear from Jordan in a little bit, but first
Okay.
we're gonna let her sister finish up what could be a pretty big game here.
Very impressed, and I've said this before about what KT has been able to do. We talked about it a little bit earlier today, but it's pretty cool to watch her fan support just grow over the course of really like 4 to 5 events. And awesome person. Certainly Blake and Adam think so as well. The Bowling Doodles, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with who I'm referring to. Mom Terry is in attendance. She is to the right, actually, of Daniel currently. Meanwhile, Dana Yellum, D-Mac.
Put a good shot there in the 10th on a great break in the 9th after she went runaway Brooklyn to continue her run at 280. But that's what you got to do. You have to put a good shot on top of a good break.
Undoubtedly, or it doesn't count. I mean, you might as well get a break back.
Exactly.
What we are going to do here is because, and obviously you all can watch this on 27 and 28, but because since we are so close, we see Danielle Second shot in the 10th. She's on her way to potentially 280. We're going to scroll on over so we can get Haley Richard in the shot. Haley Richard, lane 27, front 9, here on Bowl TV.
Oh.
And a dime. The 10-pin for Haley Richard. An excellent run for Haley to now, again, as we talked about, she's going to move into, right now, the cash number.
Yes, if she maxes out at 79, that'll put her at plus 31, which would be good for about 28th right now. So that'll put her inside the cash number. And Danielle McEwen, this nice 279 game herself. DMAC is going to move from plus 144 up to plus 223, which coming into this game, 223 would be good for 4th place. Haley does convert the 10. And real quick, moving from one Richard to another. Jordan was, of course, a member of the trios team of Missy Parkin, Liz Culkin, and herself that took home gold at the Women's World Championships just last week at the South Point Bowling Plaza in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And I caught up with Jordan on a couple of topics, the first of which was the trios gold that her and her Team USA teammates brought home from Las Vegas.
It was really exciting. I think at the beginning it was really hard because I was struggling, so then it just gets frustrating, but tried to keep an open mind, and I did just that, and then they were holding me up, and then I strung strikes at the end, and we ended up taking the lead going into the final frame. And then once Liz threw that strike, it was like, oh my God, that just happened. So it was really cool.
And then following up on that, we also talked about, she mentioned her struggles in there, and her struggles over the last couple of weeks here on tour, and how she's been able to push past that moving into this event.
The last couple tournaments on tour, I've been struggling more kind of with my mental game. I'm not struggling with my mental game, but I'm struggling with, once I start struggling, I feel like it goes downhill really quick, so I start to panic. Worlds really kind of helped me not panic, because when things started going downhill, I kind of started figuring it out better. So I'm kind of going to use that for this.
And to an extent, I would say that she has used that for this. Inside the cut number, after 4 games this afternoon. A 171 here. That will drop her to plus 1 and put her almost dead on top of that cash number line.
And just like that, Game 6 is on its way. As Game 5 is over. I'm just pulling out all of the old Hawkisms. I know Chris Pulliam hates that. Channeling inner White Sox self. So in between games here, no rain delays, no call to the bullpen. Just an good old-fashioned lane change here on Bowl TV. Emil Williams Jr. back with you. Back after 2 events off for the birth of Emil Anthony Williams III. For those of you who have asked me just over the course of the last couple weeks, even the last few months, honestly, because, obviously I've been pretty open with the viewers and letting them know what's going on, and, folks had my due date down sometimes better than I did. But thank you to everyone who has congratulated us, wished us well throughout the season, throughout the last few months in general. That is for viewers, players, and everyone in between. Thank you very much, even to the anniversary shout-outs as well. It's what a time to be alive, as we've been saying. Not sure you always think for those who choose to go go that route in regards to children. Certainly have an understanding for those. It's not always an easy process. Sometimes things don't always go your way. I've experienced that as well. But so we appreciate our gift, our blessing. And so far, it looks like he's going to shine some light on a lot of people. As I've told Daniel, I've never been more excited to talk about anything in my life than I have this child. That's what they do to you. That means I also have to give my wife credit. Well, because
Obviously.
she was phenomenal. She did a fantastic job. Everyone also says he looks like her too. So that's still, I don't think it's in question anymore. I got a few people that when he was first born that said, man, he looks just like you. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think you've seen my wife. So from everything that people have told me, he looks like her or her mom.
Give it time.
And they favor a lot. Here's the thing, though. So you've seen him,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Shanice showed me a photo of her mom as a baby. I didn't know it was her mom when she showed me the picture. And my first words to her via text was, "Oh, expletive. O-H.
Yeah.
Expletive word."
Oh, wow.
Because the resemblance to our son and his grandmother is crazy. I'll show it to you. Actually, I'll show it to you right now.
Well, growing up, people said that I resembled my mother. As a baby, as 4, 5, 6 years old, I had, if you can believe this, I had blonde hair.
How about that?
All the way up until maybe 3rd grade, it went to brown as it is now. And it wasn't until the last, I hit my teens and really started to develop, my facial features as an adult that people started to say, really, you really look like Chuck. But as a baby and as a kid, I looked like Mom.
Well, I've had my son has sandy brown hair. I do not currently have sandy brown hair, but
No.
I did as a baby.
Need a haircut, by the way.
No, I'm good. This is my look right now. This is my look. A little
I
long.
forgot. The dad look, I forgot.
A little long.
Things change.
Well, that's not necessarily a dad look. This is just the look that
Let's get there.
I like at a point.
That's
Hey, man. That's my look right now. You got it. All you need is a lining and a taper. That's all you need. Now, I'm going to throw one more curveball at you. What I actually do need is a sponge. And you're looking at me in a weird light. And this sponge, it will enhance this curl look, what I'm going for,
okay.
without me having to put any actual product, chemical, whatever you want to call it.
With some J. Curl on there?
For all intents and purposes, yes, sure. Yeah, sure. Some S curl, you know what I'm saying? But when it gets a little bit long, right, it's a little harder for it to curl up on its own. Like it naturally will do it, but it's a little difficult. So then you need just a little texture on it.
Okay.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
I will. I'll be around for a while.
I'm all about schooling.
I know.
It's for the culture.
For the brand.
Sorry, folks. It's been a minute. I got to get back to being myself on Bull TV. I like to go off on a tangent every now and then. We always bring it back, but try to keep it somewhat real.
Well, before you get to what you're going to show me, Shannon Blahowski keeping it real. 235 that game. She will stay towards the top of the standings along with Sherry Tan. I don't know what Liz Johnson shot that game. Shannon was only 5 pins behind Liz, and Liz 118 behind Sherry. And when you had stepped away earlier is when I mentioned that the two lefties in the field were 1-2, and I told all the conspiracy theorists, just stay home. This is bowling. This isn't, alien hunting or some stupid thing. I said, But after, and in all seriousness, of all the struggles that I've watched Shannon go through the last 3 weeks, not just being the lone lefty in the field, but having nothing. I mean, having no look. I'm thrilled to see her where she deserves to be, and that's making cuts towards the top of the standings and fighting for TV.
It wasn't that long ago where, it was potentially, Shannon Plahowski could have won Player of the Year because she had, she was making 5 TV shows, for example.
Good shot. Oh, good break. I was going to say good shot, bad break for Carrie Smith, but she gets the 4 to fall late. Still looking at a 9-pin. Liz Culkin gets the 4 to fall. Luckily for her, the 9 was not standing when the 4 fell. That's a 3-bagger for Liz to start out game number 6, game number 12 on the day. Joining her on the pair, Taylor Boltice, Shayna Ung, and Verity Crawley. Roll it. Good shot, Verity.
Well, we got to take her, Daniel. Chris Pulliam would pay good money.
I saw that.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, Chris, just to be dead honest with you. However, I mean, if there was, perhaps for a good cause. One of those, hey, for a good cause, you may do a thing or two that would cause you to put, some S-curl in the fro. Nice washout conversion over on 27. You may have seen that. KT Simpson. Let me ask you this, Daniel Farish. When you look at 25 and 26, just right now, 3 Team USA members, Julia Bond, Jordan Richard, Danielle McCune. This is a simple question, simple answer.
Okay.
Literally the easiest thing ever in the world that you'll answer. The future of bowling. Yes? No?
No.
No? Okay.
Yes.
I believed you for like 15 seconds, I'm not going to lie.
Yes, I think not just in age but in experience. Julia's a little bit behind Danielle and Jordan. I think Danielle's a little bit ahead of Jordan, Jordan a little bit ahead of Julia. But I could see these 3 battling it out in the next 20 years, the way that we see Liz Johnson, Kelly Kulick, that generation battling it out in the lanes as they have been for the last 20 plus years. Get it.
Come on. My guy next to me is now referencing something from one of my, actually probably my all-time favorite movie. Which has got me also slightly disappointed, but that's neither here nor there. But it is coming to America. Showed me a picture of Eric LaSalle, who played Daryl in the movie, and who was the Prince of Soul Glow. As you all recall, just let your soul glow. You've seen the movie. As he walks into McDowell's. Walks into McDowell's and, does his thing. Then he throws a strawberry milkshake on Akeem. It's good to be back.
Oh, I'm glad you're back. Two people who have recently come to America are Verity Crawley's parents.
How about that?
Have been here for about
Nicely done.
Have been here for about 3 weeks, watching her bowl. And Verity, I talked to her this morning, or excuse me, this afternoon. She struggled this morning, and I got her thoughts on a couple of different things. How she planned. She finished the day pretty good at 2:59, but it was 1:38 to start the day this morning. And I talked to her about, okay, what are your plans for this afternoon? And then we talked a little bit about her parents, and I've kind of spliced a lot of these clips together all into one. So here's what Verity had to say on those different topics.
Really trying to just forget what happened in the first block and just play the lanes as I see them, just make the adjustments and kind of go from there. No, not at all. I mean, it's just nice to have them here with me. This was actually the first time they'd seen me bowl a professional event. The last time they saw me bowl was in 2015 at the Intercollegiate Singles. So it's been a while, so it's really nice.
We talked a little bit about that earlier, but we knew we had some sound, so we kind of wanted to save the conversation for this moment. But that is, you can't put a price on what she just talked about. 4 years essentially since her parents last saw her bowl, and the first time they've seen her bowl as a professional.
Come on.
And perhaps probably not the first time they're seeing her kind of play fourth and fifth arrow.
Yeah.
As well, but man, when you get away just from what's happening on the lanes and the pins falling and the scores and what's at stake this week and the tour championship, and maybe this thing is hitting me a little bit differently now that I'm a father, but the family element, that right there was what it's all about.
That's one thing that I'm pretty excited about. Even back home, it makes me glad. Even if the tournament that I bowled Sunday night before we came out here to North Carolina, Mom and Dad stopped by for a game, just to say hey and see what's going on. Dad usually comes with me to most of my tournaments. Not as much a coach anymore as just someone to throw some bounce ideas off of and whatnot at this point in my career. But I'm lucky at 33 to have still both my parents around, happy, healthy, can come watch me bowl, and they want to. And that means a lot to me, and I don't take it for granted because, at this age, I do have friends around my age whose parents may be a little bit older and not with us anymore, and I've watched them go through losing them. So I've really started to cherish every moment I get to spend with them, whether it's the adventures that Mom and I go on that we've went on for 20-plus years, or Dad and I in a bowling center together. I haven't lost sight of what that means to me.
I feel that, for those who have had the privilege of having their parents watch them at some point in their lives, generally you can probably at least have one memory that may stand out, and of whatever that might be. Mine would be my mom being present. I know I've told this story before, but my mom being present for when I shot 300. And she didn't go to that many events of mine, especially as a youth. She did go to Junior Gold, as did my dad back in 05. But that actually same year, 05, shot 300 as a youth player. She was there, but my mom's like not nervous, but she's not trying to watch you, and because she might feel like she's going to mess it up.
Right.
So she's like reading her book, like at a table like this where we are, like a normal settee type or concourse, like high table type thing. And my niece is there. And my niece I see her running as the strikes begin to pile, and I'm doing my own thing, throwing my shot, going to the first seat, sitting down. I'm in my zone. But we get to like front 9, I get to the front 10, and I'm walking back, and I see my niece kind of doing a run up and down the concourse because she's like alerting my mom to what's happening. And so that was pretty cool. My dad, who was my biggest influence, and the reason why I bowl or did bowl, still kind of bowl, and for all intents and purposes do what I do now. He wasn't there, but that was a cool phone call to give him the news that I had shot my first 300.
Some updated numbers after 11 games today. 1 to go right now. They're in the middle of it. Sherry Tan, your leader, plus 420. Shannon Pluhowski, plus 305. Liz Johnson, 276. Clara Guerrero, 256. Elise Bolton, 225. Daria Pajak has been plus 122 this afternoon so far. She's at 224 overall in 6th. Danielle McEwen and Missy Parkin tied in 7th at 223. Birgit Poplar in 9th at 221. And Dasha Kovalova rounds out the top 10 at 219. Brianna Cote, 206. Liz Culkin, 191. Valerie Berscier, 177. Rocio Restrepo, 158. Sid the Kid Brummett, 147. Shannon O'Keefe, again, she's keeping her head above water right in that cut line, 16, 17, 18th place. Shannon is 16th at 136. Stephanie Johnson, 17th at 127. And Summer Jasmine enters the cut line.
How about that?
In 18th. She's plus 138 this afternoon, 123 overall. 4 players below Summer that are within 23 pins of her. Nicole Trudell at 111. Lindsay Boomershine follows up that 152 with a 238. She's at 105. Kelly Kulik and Diana Zavyalova tied at plus 100 in 21st position.
Boy, I tell you, those standings. Again, you know, Sherry Tan is. This is not a normal event in the sense to where, you know, there is match play and there's bonus pins this week. So the opportunity to kind of run away and hide in the top spot is, you know, you can still do it, but it'll be a little bit difficult this week with bonus pins in play. Having said that, you know, I'm trying to remember the last time we saw Sherry Tan perform not well at a PWBA event. You know, whether it's, you know, I mean, missing a cut, something like that. I just don't. Maybe it's happened. I got to look it up now. I'm just not sure, especially going back to our earlier conversation from Rob McCabe. But I go back right now to Elise Bolton, who, you know, many people may not even know who Elise Bolton is. Hopefully they tuned in, you know, a couple weeks ago to the regional showdown on CBS Sports Network. But, you know, former Nebraska player, former Junior Team USA member, you know, came out originally with certainly high expectations as well, and it's taken a few years to kind of figure some things out too. And right now, she is having herself a day. Daria, we've talked about her today. Some apparently enjoyed it, some didn't. But Daria, you know, is kind of part of that equation because, like I said, people talk about her often, but from the expectations, like we were talking about earlier, people expect to see her in the top 10. And that's where she is right now. Sydney Brummett was hovering around the cash line, I feel, for most of the morning, and now has worked her way into the cut number.
Yeah.
To advance to match play.
She's done that a lot of it this afternoon, plus 90 for the first 5 games this afternoon. She was 57 over for 6 games this morning, and really she didn't get there until the last 2, so you're right. For the first 4 games, Sydney goes 39. Well, that was the 279, 239 with Aaron down there. Sorry, AA Ron. But after that opening 270 to 239, Sydney goes 190, 180, 180. So that is what, you know, you were talking about. She was around the cash line. Those numbers dropped her down to that even area. She goes big the last 2, 1639 to get to 57 over. And then, of course, this afternoon has had a pretty good day herself. One player in front of us right now who's had not only a pretty good day, but a pretty good couple of weeks is Liz Culkin. Picked up the Trios Gold in Vegas last week. Made the show in Orlando. And she talked a little bit about that with me earlier and how she's been able to carry over this momentum over the last couple of weeks.
So I really felt like in Orlando I just kind of hit a groove with my fundamentals, just really staying down. I start to bowl a little bit better when I have some knee bend, have some projection. I really felt that in Orlando, and then obviously last week in Las Vegas had a pretty decent week, really consistent. Got to win a gold medal with trios, so that was super fun. I've just really kind of honed in on having better projection, making my spares, having more confidence, and the scores have came along with this.
And how did she use all of those experiences to bowl well this morning? Well, I'll let her tell you.
Had a really good day this morning, and actually I'm not nervous coming to this tournament, but I haven't made match play with players in at least 2 years. I've made it 3. So this tournament has always kind of been my kryptonite. So really my goal is to just make match play, and I'm in the top 5, but there's 12 games left. So, but obviously hoping that they're pretty similar this afternoon. I had a really good look this morning. I only used 2 balls, which is like almost unheard of for me. So yeah, went really well.
Liz and I talked in Orlando before the round of 12. It was funny. We talked about how her spare shooting had been suspect, and she was unhappy with her spare ball. She drilled up a couple new spare balls. Even in Orlando, went to the point of throwing her strike ball, her resin ball, at her 6s and her 10s, just coming up the back of it, which she told me is something that they teach or taught at Nebraska, something they learned how to do there. So she was very comfortable doing it. And we had that discussion before the round of 12, and then she comes out the first game of the round of 12 in Orlando, and I think it was like 150 with a bunch of chopped spares and missed spares, and I was like, Liz, we just talked about this. But she salvaged that. I mean, she shot 150 or 160 the first game, but then was 220 and above the last 5 to make the TV show. Used all that great momentum, carried it on to Vegas, won the trios gold with Missy Parkin and Jordan Richard, and now here she found herself in the top 5 after this morning, down to 12th place, only +9 this afternoon, but a good distance inside the cut and a great game going here, 279 max score as she heads into her respective 10th frame.
Ashley Galante in the 230s. Oh, excuse me. 260s. I don't even know if I can blame that one on Baby Brain. That was just.
Come on, man.
That was just. You missed a frame there. You missed
269. Good game, Ashley.
On the strike.
He tried to take away 30 sticks.
Excellent game.
A lot of players finishing strong here. Liz right in front of us. Ashley off to our right. Sydney Brummett on the front 5, down on 17 and 18. Stephanie Johnson, before her split in the 8th, had a string going after a spare in the first frame. Birgit Poplar had the front 5 or 6. I can't tell. Christine Johnston has a 7-bagger after an open early on, down on the high end of the house. So quite a few players. Lindsay Boomershine, the front 7 before a spare in the 8th. Shannon Plahowski to our left, slapping pins silly in the half pocket here in her 6th frame.
This ends up being a good opportunity, and I'm talking about, with a relatively early day from what the players are accustomed to on a Friday night. We had an early start, started at 8 a.m. Eastern, and not a long break, just really 90 minutes or thereabouts between blocks. And part of that, trying to help accommodate the host center as well. This event originally was scheduled for late August. But because of the World Bowling Women's Championships, we elected to try to move it. And thankfully, Buffalo Lanes North was able to do so and had a good week to do it. But, of course, now we're, we're into league season and different things like that. So you always want to be as helpful and respectful to the host and the proprietor as possible. So what that does, though, is allow the players, what essentially is like a vacation. After this game, I mean, it's going to be not even 5 o'clock Eastern time, and they will have an opportunity to literally, eat and enjoy and get as much rest potentially as they would like and need, and be back at it tomorrow at 8 a.m. Of course, having said that, that also means we get to do some of those same things.
We do.
At a decent time.
We do.
I don't know what to do.
We've had 2 really good dinners the last 2 nights.
We have.
I mean.
Yeah, shout out to Raleigh.
The food has been
shout out to Raleigh.
I'm excited for tonight. I was spot on with where I picked we had dinner at last night. I'm not sure who picked the first night. But
I think Tennille.
Okay. That means it's you or...
I guess I'm up.
You or Curtis. Or if our man Double A Ron's feeling up to it.
I hope he is.
I hope so too.
Someone asked about Shannon O'Keefe. And let's see. Shannon down on the high end.
I can go steal a peek real quick.
All right, DQ is going to run down, take a peek. She is on what I believe is the last pair. In fact, it looks like she just finished up. I see her writing some scores down and looking at the score monitors right now. Liz Culkin really has worked her way into being a player who, before we finish that Liz Culkin thong, let me get DQ's update on Shannon's score.
Shannon, 226. Her final game this afternoon puts her at plus 162.
Plus 162 for O'Keefe in the books. I was just kind of getting into little Liz Culkin. She gives herself a small clap there because I think she realized she got a little hold. And that's always a plus. 6 in a row for Liz. And she's going to be in the 270s. So impressive stuff, but again, the last 2 seasons for Culkin have seen her, and for her it started last year at team trials when she made Team USA. And now a 2-time member, now a world champion as part of Team USA. What a ride, what a run, what a transformation in that sense as well, from being a national champion and All-American at Nebraska to coming out and winning a title as a rookie to then experiencing the lows of what can happen certainly in athletics and sports and bowling and the struggles, and then to come out of that, win arguably the most prestigious title.
Yes.
Certainly in women's bowling and bowling in general, is the U.S. Open, U.S. Women's Open, generally looked at as the upper echelon of titles you'd like to win. Then to, of course, help lead Team USA to some great finishes last week. What a run it's been for Liz Cole.
Haley Richard is stepping up in the 10th frame with a chance to get to 250. She can punch for 250 even. And that cash line the last game jumped 31 pins.
Wow.
I had not seen that till just now. It was even, but you take a look at some players that are just inside the cut line. That 5th game, KT Simpson 248, Ashley Galante 243, Sandra Gongora 277, MJR Maria Jose Rodriguez 235, and then Haley is your cash number with 279 that game at plus 31.
Good note on to wrap up Liz Colkin. Top 10 in points, and she did miss an event. She was in a friend's wedding this year. I think it was Minnesota she missed, or Lincoln. No, it wasn't Lincoln, because she took us on a fantastic tour of the Nebraska bowling facility. Shout out to Coach Straw, by the way, at Nebraska. Just recently retired, and longtime assistant coach Paul Klemp has been recently named the head coach there.
It was Minnesota. Jordan Richard, after her 170 the last game, fell to +1, putting up a nice 250-plus game here, which I would like to say I'm pretty sure it's going to put her inside the cash number, but I did not foresee that Haley Richards' 279 would put her as the cash number. I figured she'd be farther up inside the top 30. So that cash number jumping all over the place.
Let me ask you, so when we started this round, we talked about, and as we watch Jordan Richards' final shot, and then we'll kind of close it out with this thought here. Well, nicely done for Jay Rich to get to 256, and of course that does it for our featured pair. We still have bowling going on, and we still have channels available for you, so feel free to watch those channels. We will we'll have some conversation while we got a little moment. And so at the beginning of this round, you mentioned you noticed that no one was really playing further right than the kind of comparison to what we saw earlier in round number 1.
Yes.
Do you think that had an effect on some of these high scores that we've seen later in the block by, players kind of staying put early, kind of that 9, 10, 11 range? And then obviously if you play there enough, it's going to break down. Maybe that's your gutter, if you will, as you move further left. We saw Daria start to do that around game 3. She didn't jump way in, but she did open the angle up just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is a byproduct, the scores that we've seen later in this block, a byproduct of how the players started this round in comparison to how they started the first?
Yeah, simply because you had more players in the track area to start. So that spot went away quicker, and it went away more aggressively. And it got drier quicker, which allowed the players to move in. And if you move in soon enough, I mentioned earlier in the day, they weren't going to move in and really find hold the way they did necessarily in Louisville with a longer-ish pattern. With it being 49 feet, it's still kind of flat towards the end of the pattern. But if you move in early enough before everyone else, then yes, you can find some hold. And I think that's what some of these players did. And then some players like Dasha, like Jordan Richard, maybe Liz Johnson to an extent, their ball speed gave them a little bit of down lane push. Even with 49 feet, you're only talking 21 units. So I'm not going to go so far as to say that this broke down into a house shot, because it surely did not.
Right.
But the possibilities for high scores, if you got in deep enough, quick enough, and you beat the trend, then yes, you had the possibility to put up some stupid, crazy numbers. Because if you got in before everybody else, you were in the fresh oil, in the heads, in the mid lane, where you kind of want that hold. You had some natural down lane hold because of the length of the pattern, and then you've got everybody right of you burning up what would essentially be your mistake room to the right. So I think all of that attributed to these high scores that we saw this afternoon. And Aaron Smith with a note, Sherry Tan can punch out for 280 this game.
Good Lord.
Down on 37 and 38. She's going to be up in the 10th.
Wow. Well, expect us to have a brief conversation.
Yeah, on her own note, Shannon Blahowski can punch for 58, just to our left.
How about that? Well, the lefties must have heard the talk. Maybe they they must have been watching Bowl TV at some point today. But they have been ready to go from the start. So interested to hear from Sherry Tan, and you'll be able to check that out also on the PWBA social channels. If I remember, hopefully Daniel will remind me, we'll grab that interview and have it for you to view tomorrow during round 3 of qualifying as well. Play a little bowling for you, play a little interview. I'm sure we'll have more sound as well from Mr. DQ. That is a very nice touch, by the way. And glad you started to do that because I like it a lot. We will incorporate that into our process as we move forward.
Beautiful.
If you don't mind.
Well, it's just I knew that even though I was, filling your role on Bowl TV, I didn't have the other responsibilities with PWBA and USBC that you have. So it gave me more free time than you typically have.
That is an excellent summary. That is an excellent summary. No, I like it. Here's what I like the most about it, to be quite honest with you. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but because you've been in radio, you go in and out of it as if you were on the radio, and I love that very much.
Well, I had some pretty awesome people to look up to at the Lindenwood radio station, 89.1 The Wood.
Oh, look out now.
KCLC.
Now he's just being I tell you, this guy's smart, isn't he? This guy is smart.
Sherry Struck.
Daniel and I do go way back. So if you're wondering why we get along so well, or if you think the chemistry's great, we aren't strangers. Good Lord. Kelly Kulik, 8-pin.
It's still wiggling.
Wow.
Oh, that's going to put – I didn't even see her individual game. Kelly could have punched for 176 just off to our left. 3 splits that game, no doubles, and then stuffs an 8-pin for good measure in the 10th.
That is frustrating.
Blahowski's going to shoot 58. Sherry Tan, from what I can see, down on 38, has doubled her respective 10th frame, so she's in the 270s. Wow.
That sounded like 10 back there from Sherry Tan down on the high end.
280.
280 for Sherry Tan. So, unofficially, that puts her at plus 500 for 12 games today.
So 241 and change.
And, wow, she went.
Yeah. Yes.
Good Lord. Oh, that's a nice way for me to come back, too. Like, wow. As my buddy Brian Chimino once coined the phrase, holy mackerel, at a high school basketball game. This is very much similar. Wait, am I right? Hold on, wait a minute. Let me re-add this up. Let me make sure I've added that right. That's not 1506, is it? Am I? I'm not. I'm tripping, right?
Yeah, it's 1506.
It's 1506.
She went plus 306 this afternoon.
Well,
yeah.
There's not many.
No.
Much more words you can say after that, folks.
I am going to go catch Sherry before she rolls out to get her words on this afternoon, though.
Please do. Nice work, Daniel Ferris, as always. And, well, folks, that'll do it. Wow. Sherry Tan plus 500 for 12 games today. As Daniel mentioned, plus 306 today. Or, excuse me, this afternoon. Man. That's, doesn't get much better than that. From a bowling perspective, our final shot is now officially in the books. That's Brianna Cote, who just shot 204. finish the quick story about Daniel and I. We go back to our college days. We've referenced him every now and then at Lindenwood, but I've known him since then. We've had similar interests professionally. Of course, both bowling and media-related items, radio, television. So that's where we come into play, and I feel I generally work well with anybody, and I'm not just saying that, but I generally I'm able to adjust and adapt very well. But it always helps to have a previous relationship or a tie to a player. So my man does that certainly. The lefties are killing the gym. Sherry Tan and Shannon Plahowski have been phenomenal today. Kelly did struggle this afternoon, Deborah, but if I know Kelly Kulik and you know her as well, she'll be ready to go in the morning. The truck, the PWBA truck that is, well, might be a little busy. Cecil might be a little busy for some to try to figure out what they need to do to make the last-minute run. And tomorrow morning, 6 games. It'll be our final round of qualifying tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And then we'll cut the field to the top 18 players who will advance to match play. We will pay 32 players. So the cash line to earn a check this week, 32nd, is that line. So be sure to stay abreast of all of the latest standings and results. You can do that on pwba.com/live. Again, pwba.com/live. Be on the lookout. Again, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, PWBA sites. We'll have a nice chat with Sherry Tan. We'll have some more info in regards to some sound and whatnot that Daniel and I just talked about for you tomorrow with various players. And we'll see you then. So until tomorrow morning, folks, what a day to come back. I enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to be back with you, as it always is. I do not take it for granted. I love what I do. But now, of course, I've got a little son that I love just a bit more. How about that? All right, we will see you tomorrow. I want to thank Tennille Milligan. I want to thank Kathy Waka, Kathy Kavicki, our tournament staff here. I want to give a shout-out to Buffalo Lanes North, Melissa McDaniel, USBC board member, by the way. She is on the board of directors and great GM here at Buffalo Lanes North, and her entire staff and the crew here, the Buffalo family. And want to thank Curtis Von Kruger, Sights and Sounds, the man, the myth, the legend. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, the Bowl TV Central On the Road podcast this week. If you haven't, be sure to check that out, the Backstage channel. It features Diana Zavyalova and Valerie Berscier talking about what they need to do to qualify for the Tour Championship. My main man, A.A. Ron, Aaron Smith, and, of course, Daniel Farish. My name is Emil Williams Jr. Thanks to all who have tuned in today. We will see you at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. This has been a presentation of the QubicaAMF PWBA Players Championship. You watched it live, and you watched it only on Bowl TV. Good night, folks.